Hey, good morning, everyone. Today is December 10th. It's a beautiful 40 degrees here in New York City, and I'm going to be starting this new daily series where I just talk about some current events and topics, well, focused on business, life, just what's going on right now. So I have three topics that I'm going to be covering today. One is going to be some of the new Google features, including Google Vids, as well as Google's PDF to podcast feature. I know they had it in Google LLM, Google Notebook LLM by Google, where you could transform a document into like a podcast episode. But they recently launched that on Google Workspace, where I was able to turn a PDF that I created not only into a video, and it made an entire video that I could post on YouTube, as well as a podcast episode that are pretty good. So I'm going to share that with you. Another thing I want to talk about is I recently saw a Threads post from someone that participated in a program that I did about this time last year, and it was very interesting. So I'll lead into that in just a second. And then lastly, but most importantly, well, maybe not most importantly, the Diddy documentary, right? We see all the stuff that's happening right now between 50 Cent and P. Diddy, and folks are kind of coming back up and saying, can there be such a thing as an ethical billionaire? And a lot of people are leaning towards the side of no. Once you pass a certain monetary amount, anything that you earn beyond that, especially if you become a billionaire status, that looks like hurting people, harming people, negative things happening. So that's what we're going to talk about, but let's dive in. I'm actually going to start with the program that I participated in. So I'm going to share my screen and show y'all what I recently saw on Threads. So yesterday on the 9th, I was scrolling on Threads, and last year when I did the 1 Million Black Women program from Goldman Sachs, right? This is, as it says, it's called 1 Million Black Women. That's the name of the program. And till recently, it's only been Black women that have participated in the program. And yesterday, I saw this here on Threads where this young man, not sure his name, but his @name on Threads is Urbane Society, says making history as the first male in the Goldman Sachs 1 Million Black Women Black in Business program. It was not easy, and there were people who didn't want me here, but this Black excellence is going to shine regardless. So that got me thinking. And then when I started reading some of the comments, right, people are just like, who are the people that didn't want you there? Why are you taking up the seat for Black women? This is the most like white man thing to do, white person thing to do, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, there are so many comments on this right now. And they say when you see a post that has more comments than it has likes, you know that it's going to be crazy inside of the comments. And seeing this got me thinking, right? This is a program for, right? The group that it's targeting is in the title, 1 Million Black Women. And I know recently in the last, I forgot what year it was, the pandemic makes everything feel faster than it was. But within the last 5 years, there has been the accusations that were against like the Fairless Fund and other women and or Black centered organizations. They've been getting sued and a lot of issues have come up. So my thought process is, did they let a man inside of the program to avoid that, right? It is for Black women, but anyone are welcomed. Is that in the fine print somewhere in order to avoid being sued or being brought to court? As well as Goldman Sachs is a huge organization, a global organization, and they do not want to have to be spending money on legal battles if that was a topic that was to come up. Another thing that came to mind for me was, do they, so is it like in the fine print that anyone that applies is an eligible candidate and they're just hoping that majority of the people that apply and participate are Black women? And what does it mean? Like, what precedent does it set that now a man has participated in the program? And before we dive into that, there are other Goldman Sachs programs and business programs that they have. So they have 10K small businesses. They have like 2 or 3 other business programs that are both publicly open to men, women, people of color, white people. It doesn't matter what your background is. It's more so focused on your business growth and status. So now having a program that is specifically stated for Black women, now having their first male graduate, does that open the door for other men to apply? Does that open the door for other people from other backgrounds, other races? Like, what is the actual parameters in the fine print of this program? And what does that mean for future candidates of this program? So that's what I started thinking about. And by him participating in the program, does that now set a precedent for other men to want to participate in the program? other people from other backgrounds? Is that going to be quote unquote taking up seats? Or was the program, again, in the fine print, always open to many people, but it just had a specific name? And the example that I use when I see stuff like this is baby food, right? Baby food is for babies, but there are a lot of use cases where baby food could be eaten by anyone, right? It doesn't say you have to be a baby to eat baby food. The target audience are babies and, Gerber baby, Gerber products, blah, blah, blah. But other people from other groups are able to purchase and use that. So is that the case here? Or are we setting the tone for something else to happen? And then the final thing I'll talk about that I thought about was, what would make this young man want to participate in a program like this? Was it just the results that he was seeing from past graduates? I'm a graduate of this program. I graduated from cohort 6. I think what he just graduated from, if I'm not wrong, would have been cohort 8, because they do a cohort in the fall and a cohort in the spring. So spring was just finished and we welcomed the alumni inside of our back end group. And now cohort 8 just graduated. So, what inspired him to apply? Why did he not apply to the 10K small businesses? Goldman Sachs has other programs for business owners that are clearly publicly open to any background, any gender, any ethnicity, and so on. So a lot more food for thought than anything as to what inspired him to do this, what precedent does that set, and what is the actual fine print of the Goldman Sachs program. Maybe, again, it was just titled 1 Million Black Women, but in the fine print, anyone that is an eligible candidate can apply, will be screened, and if they meet the criteria, accepted into the program. So let me know your thoughts down below about that. Now we'll move on to our second topic. I'm going to leave the Diddy topic for last. Our second topic I want to talk about is going to be the Google features, right? I use Google Workspace as a part of my tech stack for my company, GSD Solutions, as well as, I've been a Google user for a long time. And now with all of the new AI things that are coming from Google, one of the things that I recently saw in their update was where you could take the PDF document and transform it into audio. So I'm going to walk you through what that looks like. So let's get that screen going as well. So many tabs. All right. So here is my recent creation called Content Creator 101. So I'm going to show you a little bit of the PDF. I ain't going to show y'all everything. But when I recently opened the Content Creator 101 document the other day, this sparked my curiosity. So let me just make sure that, I can see the screen well. Great. So this sparked my curiosity. So I knew the Gemini stuff would come up at the right side of the screen. That's normal. I see it all the time. But then I saw this little button up here, create an audio overview. And I was like, an audio overview, that sounds cool. This is a 21-page PDF, and it's like directions and a guide for helping content creators launch their journey. So I clicked that button. Why not? So when I click that button, I'm going to go ahead and play for you what the podcast episode that was created is. So take a listen here.
Stat, right?
Let's start from
something like 90% of we've all seen that stat, right? Something like 90% of new creators quit before they even post their 7th piece of content.
Yeah, the ambition is huge, but the follow through just fizzles out.
Exactly. And that's what we're digging into today. We've got this great resource, a Content Creator 101 workbook that's all about solving that exact problem.
And our mission here is really to pull out those first critical steps. How do you go from a big dream to actually doing the work? The author themselves did it monetized super fast in 2024.
So we're starting at the very beginning, the first 2 pillars from the guide, which he calls your North Star.
Purpose and plan. Get that right, and everything else, starts to fall into place.
Okay, so let's start with purpose. The workbook is really direct about this. It says you have to pick one primary goal.
And this is the part I love. It doesn't stop there. It forces you to define your selfish reason.
Your selfish reason. What does that mean?
It's the brutally honest answer. Is it really about financial freedom, or is it about recognition, validation, just proving someone wrong?
Okay, I get that.
That honesty is your anchor, because when you get like 10 views on a video you spent hours on, and you will, that's what you come back to. You ask yourself, what am I going to regret if I stop right now? That's what keeps you going, not some generic mission statement.
Okay, so purpose is the engine. It's that deep, selfish why. But what about the how? How do we actually put the car in gear?
Right. That's the plan. The guide says you have to define a super simple starting point. Not get 1 million followers, but something like post my first 10 videos.
Or just get comfortable on camera.
Exactly. Something achievable. And then comes the 30-day action plan. This is non-negotiable.
So you have to actually document it.
You have to. In a Google Doc, Notes app, whatever, I will post 3 times a week on these platforms for the next 30 days, period.
But what if you burn out? That feels a bit rigid.
Well, the commitment isn't to a perfect outcome. The commitment is to the documentation and the effort. It's about building the habit. It shifts your brain into thinking in reps, not results.
Reps, not results. I like that. But, we all know that feeling when your taste is here, but your skill is way down here. You post something and just cringe.
Oh, the cringe is real. And that's why the guide has everyone sign what it calls the cringe tax agreement.
The cringe tax. Okay, tell me more.
It's just a mindset reset, an acknowledgement of a few truths. 1, your first content will not match your taste. 2, low views don't mean you're failing, they mean you're building.
And 3,
Awkwardness is part of the process. It's the tax you pay for growth. The core message is just done is better than perfect every single time.
so to recap for everyone listening, it's about a clear purpose, a documented 30-day plan, and resetting your mindset with that cringe tax. The guide also has these simple tools like a bio formula.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's just, I help WHO to achieve what transformation? Super simple, super clear.
Right. No cleverness needed.
And that's the whole philosophy, really. It's all about learning from action. You run these little experiments, you have a hypothesis, you try a format, you look at the result, and you find the learning.
Which brings us to a final thought for everyone to take away. After you post those first 10 pieces of content, what patterns are you seeing? If even one video, one hook, one format gets a tiny bit more traction than the others, the advice here is crystal clear.
You double down. Instantly. Forget trying to make everything perfect. That little spark of momentum is the most valuable thing you have. Grab it and just double down.
All right, so we just heard that entire podcast episode, and it felt like it was a real podcast. I don't know about y'all, and some of the things that I want to highlight that I saw within the podcast episode that made it feel like it was a real conversation between real people is, one, the voice, right? The voices and the cadence. Here and there, you'd pick up on a little bit of AI, but when you think about host, podcasters, news channel people, they sound like this. It's the cadence and the tone in which you sound when you are broadcasting information to people. They were interrupting each other, right? Like both, the guy was cutting off the woman was cutting off the guy, but it was like a natural flow of how a conversation would be if it was two human people having a conversation. They had yes, pauses in the conversation, again, to make it feel more authentic in how people speak. They also tied together the different themes of what I have in the PDF. So the PDF is 21 pages long, and that was a 3.5-minute audio. So from the 21 pages, they were able to connect the different chapters. I have 16 sections, 21 pages inside of this PDF, and they were able to flow you through all of the different chapters without making it say like, this is part 1, this is part 2. It gave a conversation. They were able to narrow that down into 3.5 minutes, and you could clearly understand what the value of the Creator 101 ebook was. What else did I write? And then they were like, the transitions were pretty smooth. And then it's like when something was funny, like one character said something that was funny, the other character laughed and responded. So, it just made it feel like it was a real conversation. And this is just by me clicking a button inside of a PDF that I wrote, and the whole entire podcast episode was created, and we can use this in marketing in different ways. I'm going to show y'all something else, because that's not the only thing that I was able to do. So with that same PDF, I clicked into what they call Google Vids. So I'm going to show y'all that as well. And Google Vids is exactly what it sounds like. And a lot of folks are saying that this could potentially be a replacement for tools like Loom or Screencastify that people usually use to record their screens and share information with their team members. But it took it a step above, right? This created an entire video that I could post again on YouTube. This video is a bit shorter. It's about 2.5 minutes. And the same PDF, the same content, the same information, now translated into something that I could put out as like marketing material to get an audience. So let's play this video. Hopefully it gives y'all full screen, and then we'll discuss it after.
Welcome
to Content Creator 101, your step-by-step launch plan. Ready to stop dreaming and start creating? I'm Georgie-Ann, a business coach who became a paid content creator in less than 6 months. In this series, I'm sharing the exact system to build your content creator journey. Are you stuck overthinking content creation? Most people jump in randomly or wait for the perfect moment. And that's the first mistake. Content Creator 101 gives you the foundational steps to create consistency, make money, and grow as a creator, starting with where you are now. In episode 1, we tackle purpose. Most people skip this crucial step, but your why is your North Star. A clear purpose is what keeps you grounded when the algorithm changes, views drop, and you feel like quitting. Without it, frustration takes over. Determine your primary goal. Is it to make money, build authority, or sell a service? And don't forget your honest, selfish reason. Honesty creates clarity. Next, in episode 2, plan. Most new creators fail because they just post. We plan with intention. Create a simple, low-stress 30-day posting commitment. Think, I will post X times per week for 30 days. This turns should post into doing a challenge. Micro commitments work better than big promises. Your first mission is to show up, not to blow up. Promise yourself consistency, not perfection. In episode 3, we tackle the biggest mistake, trying to post everywhere. It leads straight to burnout. Choose one platform to master first. Being excellent on one platform grows you faster than being mediocre on 5. Pick based on your natural style. Are you a talker, a writer, or a long-form deep diver? Then, confirm where your target audience actually hangs out. Episode 4 is all about optimizing your profile, your storefront. We need to make it obvious what you're about. Update the basics. Clear photo, memorable username, and ensure your name field includes keywords people might search for. Have a clear link or call to action. Your bio should instantly answer who you help, what you talk about, and where to go next. People decide in just 3 seconds if they'll follow you. Before you hit post, episode 5 covers the necessary mindset check-in, setting expectations. Accept the quote cringe tax. Your first content won't match your taste, and that's completely normal. You have to pay the tax to grow. Think in reps, not results. Success looks like showing up consistently, not achieving immediate perfection. You post your way to good. You now have the foundation. Purpose, plan, platform, profile, and mindset. We've covered the essentials to launch your content journey with clarity. It's time to take action on what you've learned. Ready to launch? Join the challenge and get the free Content Creator 101 workbook to put these steps into action. Link in bio or comment hashtag Content Creator 101.
All right, from that, we just saw an entire video. Again, this is like ready to go. I could put it on YouTube. The Content Creator 101 ebook is not free. I have to edit the script on that. So it's not free, but I didn't add in any of the visuals. I didn't add in any of the text. So I didn't have to like transcribe it or say anything. All I did was when I opened up Google Vids, it said, do you want to what is the source of what you want to create? Do you want to use one of the documents you already have? Do you want to use something that's an image? So it gave you like a screen of options that where's my starting point? Where is this like video supposed to be created from? And I clicked on the Content Creator 101 workbook, and it made this video in maybe like 5, maybe 10 minutes. That's it. I didn't click anything after that. And I think it maybe asked me like, what type of design? Do I want minimal? Do I want elaborative? Like, and I think maybe like a color scheme or something like that. But that's all. I clicked 3 buttons. I made one thing. And from that one thing that I made, I was able to get a podcast episode. So straight audio. I was able to get a complete video, YouTube ready, maybe small tweaks if I so choose to. I've seen some YouTube videos that do not go in, they don't tweak anything. The only negative feedback I had about this is that it's like Content Creator 101, but she kept saying 101. But that's something I could probably fix in the transcript and for her to read differently. The music was a little too loud. So again, I didn't touch anything. I haven't edited it yet, but that's click of a button, turn down the music. It selected the music as well. So these are things that were a part of it. And I now just have to do the last mile of cleanup. And when I see stuff like this, I just think of what the future of work would look like, right? So kind of sandwiching AI and human work together. So I created the PDF, and I did leverage a little bit of AI to think through some of my ideas when I was creating the original PDF. And it was just like, can you organize this? Like, these are my thoughts. This, I made the original outline. So I'll walk you through my process. I made the original outline. This is what I want to talk about. This is what I want to record. This is the topics. This is my framework. So I have my 5-piece framework plan, purpose, plan, produce, profit, play. That's my 5-piece framework. I created that years and years ago. Then I talked about my framework. I talked about what I wanted to cover. I've talked about who I am. I wrote my bio, all that. So I made the outline. Then it cleaned it up and made it and cut it into 16 sections for me. Then from there, I edited it and made the final PDF, like all the design and all that jazz. So I created the final. So solo, AI collab, solo. Then now the finished product is there. And then again, AI collaboration where I clicked the button and it created the podcast. And then now AI collaboration where it made the video. I do have to go in and clean some pieces up around the video, but then it's ready to go. So what I'm trying to say is that the future of work, the present of work, looks like collaborative, human plus AI enabled work. There's a term that is like slipping my mind right now, but I know it. I don't remember what it's called. But that's what work will look like. And if you don't know how to collaborate with AI, use what it gives you and then make it better, be more creative, add additional insights, add additional perspective, then you're going to fall behind. If you're not playing and experimenting with these tools, you're going to fall behind. So you have to figure out how to have integrated, I think it's like human powered, there's a term, whatever, but you have to figure out how you integrate, because if you remove the human, it's not going to give the highest quality of output. And if you remove the AI, then the speed is going to be lower. A human could definitely produce this, but how long would it take a designer or myself or a videographer to make a video? Sitting down to make a podcast, I'd have to speak, I'd have to record, I'd have to have cameras, mics, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now I have these pieces and I have cut down on the amount of hours needed significantly, right? So I just wanted to point that out. And now the final topic that I'm going to talk about today, probably why y'all stay to the end of this video, is going to be the Diddy documentary. So I don't know if anybody has watched it. If you haven't watched it yet, there will be spoilers. So sorry about that in advance. So I recently watched this over the weekend, watched I think it's like 4 episodes of it. It's on Netflix. It's produced by 50 Cent, as well as Alexandra Stapleton or Stapleton. I forgot her last name, but Alexandra. And in the documentary, it just kind of follows from about the last year or so, September 2024. So there's live recordings. Like, this is Diddy and his team literally recording the content. And then 50 Cent was able to get it. And from what I gather on social media, it's because Diddy don't pay people. And if you know, in the industry, if you work with someone and you don't pay, then the product of that work can be then sold to the highest bidder, right? You have to make sure you're reading your contracts, making contracts. His bodyguard or his security team, head of security, said that he would hire young folks, not pay them, not do the contract properly, not hold up his end of the bargain. And at that point, that content is now theirs. They recorded it, they did the work, he didn't pay, which is how you then transfer the copyright and the ownership of the content to the person on film, and he never did that. So it's theirs and they sold it to the highest bidder. So we have this entire documentary now, and it's walking through the beginning, right? It talks about him going to Mount St. Michael High School, and then like what happened when he met Andre Harrell. It talks about Biggie, Tupac. It brings us to modern day, Danny Kane, all of the folks that were impacted by making the band, and like now to present day with these accusations, the baby oil and all that. But what I want to pull out are 3 themes that I saw within the documentary, right? People that don't know how to handle power will misuse power. Point blank, period. So when you see the start of the film and it's people that have grown up with him, various people in his life are sharing their perspective and their experiences, it's very clear that Sean did not have a lot of he wasn't the cool kid. Is a point I'm trying to make. He wasn't the cool kid, but he always wanted to be the cool kid. He wanted that notoriety. He wanted the money. He wanted the girls. And oftentimes he would not get it. So he would really focus in on getting someone else's girl, right? We see the proof is in the pudding. Kim was with Albie Shore at first. Misa was with somebody else. A lot of the women that, what is it called? Cassie was with, I forgot the name of this producer. But long story short, he would see what other people had and be envious of that and try to prove a point to say, hey, I'm going to get what you have. Literally the exact person, the exact thing. I'm going to take this from you. I don't want you to have that. I want to take it from you. So when you don't know how to maneuver power because you never had it from a young age, they talk about, his mom and the interactions there. You then get into power and don't know how to mold it in a way of positive leadership, sharing the resources all around. So that's the first thing I want to address. The second thing I want to address is how energy moves around. So when people are very charismatic, have high energy, have the get shit done attitude, other people are attracted to that. People saw that he would set. So while he didn't know how to maneuver with the power once he had it, he knew how to get it, right? And being able to go from 0 to 1, right, of not having a thing to then having it is a very tedious process, and a lot of people don't know how to do that. So if you have the energy of you're a doer, anything that you say you're going to do, you're able to accomplish, that is an energy that a lot of other people want to be around. And it's not until they realize that you are manipulating them because you don't know how to handle power, part one, that it then becomes an issue because you're promising them these things, and by being around you, they feel that energy, but it then leads to burnout. It's not a positive energy, sure. It's like you're going to drain everything. You're literally sucking the energy from that person. And, folks might call it like narcissism. There's so many other rabbit holes we could dive into. But, when you have that charisma, when you have that go-getter attitude, when you're willing to do what needs to be done to get to the next step, people want to be around you and will continue to give you opportunity. But if you don't know, again, the power management, once you have the opportunity, you will then squander it and or abuse people through the process, right? And that's what we see happening here. So not handling power correctly, and then being charismatic and a doer that attracts people. So those two things don't mesh. And then the final thing the theme that I pulled out of this documentary is just what happens when people just don't question what's going on, right? A lot of times inside of this documentary, when folks were saying we saw this and we saw that, and a lot of people just said, oh no, that can't be it. That doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound feasible. Why would that happen? Even when the jurors came in, they're like, no, he didn't kidnap Capricorn Clark. That doesn't make sense. That's silly. When people don't take information at face value, or people create a persona of who someone else is in their head, it makes it very difficult for them to see at face value that what sounds so unlikely is actually the truth, right? Why don't we question how is this possible? Why was that decision made? I think we just go along with things like, oh, it's always been like that. That's how it's supposed to be. And a book that I reread recently is called Think Again by Adam Grant. And it just talks about how sometimes the thing that's right in front of us, we want to ignore because it's just like, no way that's the answer. No way that's possible. It can't be that easy, when in fact it is, right? Question everything is what I always say, because if few more people had asked questions or paused to say, this doesn't seem right. This doesn't look good. I don't think this is a good idea. A lot of the harm that was done could have been stopped, but maybe people were waiting for somebody else to say something, or they assumed if it was that bad, the people involved would have said something. And if you've seen the TV show, the movie, maybe documentary called Blink Twice, there are a lot of stuff out there in this world that we do not know about, whether it's drugs, whether it's ingredients, who knows what was in that baby oil. But there's a lot of moving parts, whether that's physical things, scientific things, spiritual things, whatever, that people don't really take the time to question or find out additional information before they just make a jump and make a decision. So power and the lack thereof, knowing how to control it is a huge thing. Being charismatic and being a doer and attracting people, and then not knowing how to maneuver with those people is a big thing. And then the final thing is just making sure that you are questioning everything, right? Well, this is for individuals. This is for folks that are at the top. And as you climb the ladder, I feel like you should always be questioning, what could go wrong? What am I doing right? What does this mean? But yeah, if you haven't watched it, go watch it, form your opinions. And to answer the question, do we think that there can be an ethical billionaire? I definitely think there can. I think it's if you learn how to properly handle power, and if you maneuver yourself in the right way. I recently saw a post that was this individual, I forgot which country, but it's this paint company, Nippon Paint or something like that. And the guy started from the ground up, manufactured paint and became a billionaire through that, and left his monies to both his children and grandchildren. I've never heard of this man in my life before I saw that post. And that sounds like an ethical billionaire. He slowly growed, and he, got different market shares, partnered with different international organizations, and figured out a strategic way to do it. And it's just growing your business. And I'm pretty sure there are more billionaires that we don't know about that are doing things that are ethical. But, if you have a light shined on you, and you're not doing the right thing, then it'll just be assumed that there cannot be one. But let me know your thoughts down below. This was day 1, and we're going to see if we could continue to do this daily. This episode is 30 minutes. I did not expect that. But yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. If you like this, go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all tomorrow.